back to the self-proclaimed best NFL show on the internet. I'm your host, Dustin Saraceni, and as always, I'm alongside my incredible co-hosts, Alpha Dog Bets and Matt Jacob. Fellas, before we get started, make sure you head on over to Oddspedia Insights for some of the best news and analysis all year long, and head on over to Oddspedia to enter our handicapping contest. No money is needed for you to win some massive prizes over the course of the NFL season. With that being said, quick question, guys. What the hell is going on in the NFL right now? Underdogs are reigning supreme. They have 10 outright wins through 3 weeks, and we're 5-0 last week. Does anyone want to tackle what's going on? I mean, we saw the Panthers, Giants, Packers, Commanders, Rams all win outright. The sportsbooks have been absolutely cleaning up. Matt, what's going on here?
I wish I had an answer for you. I mean, I think part of it, at least through the first 2 weeks, I don't know if you can continue on to week 3, is this whole notion of the preseason. Nobody plays. Teams aren't ready. Teams that play their guys maybe a little bit more ready than others. But now we're 3 weeks into the season, and we saw what we saw last week, which was eight upsets out of 16 games. Half the teams won by upset. You mentioned the favorite situation. I mean, it's bananas right now. It's crazy. Favorites of 5 or more points are, like you said, 10-6 straight up, and get this, guys, 14-2 against the number. All 3 biggest favorites of the week. Anybody favored by more than 7 points? See ya. You lost outright. Bengals at the Patriots. Bengals hosting the Patriots. The Ravens hosting the Raiders. The Bengals again hosting the Commanders. All 3 wiped out as big favorites. It's been bananas, but guys, it's sort of been trending this way the last couple of years. And not the outright upsets. This is crazy going on right now, and it's not going to continue, I don't think. I think you're still going to see these 6+ point favorites not necessarily covered. I mean, you're going to get to about a 50-50 rate pretty soon on a given week. But I think they're not going to be the upsets, but they're going to be teams covering that aren't you wouldn't think would be covering big numbers. It's a little bit of parity right now.
Yeah, if you're following me on Twitter, I mean, I have a bone to pick with the Bengals as well, because I had a first-time touchdown scorer, James Cook, Jamar Chase, and then I parlayed in the same parlay the Bengals and the Bills on the money line, $20 to win 1.6K, and the Bengals ruined it. They could not stop anything. All they needed was one stop all game long, and Jaden Daniels just tore them to shreds all game. It was very difficult to watch. But Alpha, do you know what's going on here, man? What's happening in the NFL?
Man, nobody knows what's going on. This has been the craziest first couple weeks of NFL that I have ever witnessed in my 32 years on this earth. It's absolutely been crazy, and Matt put it perfectly. I think we will see the numbers start to come more closer to each other. I don't think that these big 6.5, 7.5, 8.5 point dogs are going to keep consistently winning. But when's it going to stop? When are we going to figure out now's the time to back the favorites? Is it still time to back the dogs? There's a lot to decipher in all these games. I think now we have a better idea, though, of how good some of these teams are. I know last week we saw that Saints-Eagles game. That was a big test for the Saints. I wanted to see them win that game in a big way if they were a legit team in that way, and they didn't. So I still think we're learning a lot about these teams, and I think the books will adjust and we'll get more even and equal lines, and it won't be as crazy to the dogs going forward.
Yeah, and a lot to discuss. We're going to get through it all today. Of course, we'll have our favorite props. We'll have our primetime picks. We'll have Oddspedia games of the week. We'll have fantasy stardom, sit-em. But one more headline, guys. Who's your favorite QB story so far this season? Because if it's one thing the NFL season has shown so far is the QB and how important it is and how incredible the stories are. I mean, we got Rodgers, we got Darnold, we got Jaden Daniels, we got Andy Dalton coming in, Malik Willis having a great time in Green Bay. We got Justin Fields leading an undefeated Pittsburgh Steelers team. Matt, who's your favorite QB story so far?
I think it's probably Jaden Daniels. I didn't see this coming. My son is an Arizona State graduate. I know he's not happy because he didn't do this at Arizona State, and he goes to LSU and goes off, and now here he is in the NFL. So I think it's Jaden Daniels because he's doing it with his arms. That pass he threw that I saw, I got part of the game. That big deep pass to McLaurin was on the money. And then there was a throw late in the game that he had to make. He took a big hit, stood in there, took a big hit, delivered the ball. So, he's got to watch the running. I mean, everyone talked Robert Griffin III again. Here we go. Be careful, be careful, be careful. But he's looked really good. But I do have a soft spot for Andy Dalton and what he did last week. Andy Dalton, his last 2 starts for the Carolina Panthers, both in week 3, he's put up well over 300 yards passing and thrown for 5 touchdowns and no interceptions They didn't win the game in Seattle last year in week 3, but they beat the snot out of the Raiders. And it's just, I was anti Bryce Young from well before the word go. I never understood the hype, and I think we're seeing he's heading towards Bustville.
Yeah, there's something about these like 5'9", 5'10". They look like they're 165 soaking wet quarterbacks like Bryce Young is that just, can't do it. You saw Andy Dalton immediately steps in, immediately gets the dub. I think he threw for 300 plus yards, 3 touchdowns. I mean, what more clear evidence do you need that this was Bryce Young's fault at this point? Alpha, who's your favorite QB story, bud?
Matt made a perfect point. He is not mine, but I do want to touch on Jaden Daniels, Matt, that played to Terry McLaurin. I watched them break that down about 10 times. They showed every angle when he released the ball, where the wide receiver was in his route. He wasn't even broken yet, McLaurin, and he still took it. Jaden Daniels looks like the real deal. He really does. As a Giants fan, it is quite depressing to see this, knowing that we still have the worst quarterback in the division, but it was quite impressive to see what he's been doing. My top pick has to be Sam Darnold. What a story for Sam Darnold. He's been fantastic. And here's a little trivia for you boys. Which quarterback of these 3 is the youngest? Joe Burrow, Sam Darnold, or Josh Allen?
Yeah.
Which one do you guys think is the youngest? It's Sam Darnold. Who would think that? It feels like this guy's been a backup for so long. We remember his Jets days. But when he came out of USC, he was very young. So he's had a lot of time to develop, and it looks like he's finally gotten his game in order. It looks like he could have a real legitimate long starting NFL career. I hope to see that from him. It's been really awesome to see him perform like he's been.
It's amazing what happens when you wipe the Jets stink off you, isn't it?
And Carolina. So both, when you get that stink off, it's looking like you're turning into a decent quarterback.
Yeah, no, Alpha, you said, I mean, to me, it's Darnold too. We're just a few years removed from his I'm seeing ghosts audio bit on primetime with the Jets. Everyone thought he was out of the league after that. A lot of people were saying that the camera crew did him dirty, or the program did him dirty just for airing that quote. But now look at him, man. He's leading the league in passing touchdowns. He's got 8 through 3 weeks. He owns the longest play from scrimmage with his 97-yard bomb to Justin Jefferson a couple weeks ago. I mean, these guys are human beings. He could have easily packed it in mentally, but here he is, man, his 3rd new team. He wasn't even a starter. Everyone was writing off the Vikings already as well once McCarthy went down, but he's taking the NFL by storm, man, and he's got this Vikings team rolling. It's a lot of fun to watch, but fellas, you know what we got to do now. Let's roll on in to our primetime picks, and we've got a good one tonight, man. We've got a team absolutely desperate for a win in the Dallas Cowboys. Have you guys hopped off the Cowboys train? Anyone see Dak tell people to hop off? Matt, what are your thoughts here? We got a rivalry game between the Cowboys and Giants. 83% of the bets are on the Cowboys at -5.5. 63% are on the over at 45. Matt, who are we rocking with here?
Well, I can't jump off a bandwagon and it was never on. So
that's true. You can't.
And really, more than anything, it comes down to Mike McCarthy. He's a terrible, terrible head coach. And if they lose this game tonight with the long week, I think we're going to see our first firing. Jerry Jones is going to look for a scapegoat. He's going to get rid of him. Why not? At that point, you're 1-3. Go to somebody else. All that being said about underdogs of 5+ points rolling this year, I'm laying the points with the Cowboys. I know the Giants have looked pretty good the last 2 weeks. Congrats to you, Alpha, on that. But you look at some of these numbers, and Dallas is 13-1 straight up and 11-3 ATS in the last 14 meetings against the Giants. Dak lost his first 2 games in his rookie season by 1 point and 3 points. Since then, 12 straight wins when he's been a starter, 9 wins by 7+ points, including 6 in a row, and 7 wins by double digits, including 4 of the last 6. And then you look, okay, well, Daniel, how many of those games did Daniel Jones start? The Giants were better when Daniel Jones started the games he started, but they still lost 5 of 6. They only covered half, and they lost by 8, 7, 15, 3, and 19 points. So, I don't think Daniel Jones makes a difference. He's played better, no interceptions the last 2 games. He's also 1-13 straight up in primetime games. I didn't see that one until yesterday. Don't know what the spread record is on that. And then, back to Washington, the Giants gave up 425 yards to Washington in week 2. That game was way closer than it should have been because all Washington kept doing was kick field goals. And compared to the Giants for have good red zone defense. And then go back to real quick week 1. Cowboys win at the Browns 33-17 last week. Giants win at the Browns 21-15. 2 different scores to me. So I like the Cowboys in this game, laying the points, very carefully laying the points, and I like the under 2. I think we're looking at a lower scoring game. Thursday night games have been so far this year.
Alpha, how about you, bud?
Unfortunately, Matt, I feel the opposite on every single thing you just said. I feel like this is a good play on the Giants, and I also feel like my favorite play on this is going to be the over, but I do have a lot of reasons why. The Giants are going to be missing basically their entire secondary tonight. Yeah. They are going to be missing Drew Phillips, who's been a star and a nickel for them this year, as well as Adoree Jackson. The Giants have a very good defensive front, a very good defensive line. So I don't think the Cowboys are going to be trying to run the ball too often, but that Giants secondary was already a bottom 3 secondary in the NFL. Now you take out 2 starters. I think Dak is going to have a get-right game and get a lot of points. On the other side, Dallas can't stop a nosebleed, especially in the rushing attack. The specialty for this Giants team is play action with Daniel Jones, running the ball and setting things up. And I do think the Giants offense will be prepared in this game to get some points. Like I said, Dallas has not been able to stop anyone. And this defense for Dallas is not the normal Dallas Cowboys defense you think of. If you look at their linebacker and defensive line core, take out Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence, most people can't name a single guy on either one of those cores. They've lost a ton of players over the last couple of years, and we're seeing the implications of that early this year. They cannot stop the run. Malik Neighbors has been an absolute beast, and I do think this game is going to go over. I have a couple props I like on this game as well, so my official play, like I said, is the over 45.5. CeeDee Lamb, 2+ touchdowns, plus 600. I absolutely love that play. I just told you guys the Giants have no secondary today. He's going to be running free all game long, and I think Dallas is going to be heavily utilizing the pass. That being said, to my second player prop, I love Dak Prescott over 256.5 passing yards. That's currently the line there. So those are my 2 favorite props in this game, but I definitely like the over due to a lot of injuries, a depleted secondary for the Giants, and a Giants offense that's starting to look okay. They've been getting some touchdowns the last couple games. If they can do their share and get a couple touchdowns, 2-3 touchdowns in this game, we should see this one go comfortably over the 45.5.
Yeah, I love it. And I think I'm a little bit biased here because you sent me your props plays and I absolutely was on the bandwagon. I mean, if you want incredible insights, guys, make sure you head on over to Oddspedia Insights, where Alpha has laid out 3 player props for you. That article's been absolutely blowing up right now. Mitch Bannon as well, another Oddspedia expert, has laid down a total play for you that you just have to hit. So just head on over to Oddspedia Insights. You get everything you need for the Thursday nighter tonight. For me, I'm hitting the over as well, Alpha, in this situation. 1, I'm way too scared of another underdog hitting. And 2, if what we've seen so far is any indication, there's going to be a ton of points scored in this one. The last 4 meetings between these 2 teams have averaged 48 points, which gives us a 3 or 4 point cushion, depending on the sportsbook you're using. In the last 9 games between these 2, the total has finished over the total 6 times. That's a 66% hit rate if you're doing the math. I'm not very good at math myself. If that's not enough for you, every game the Cowboys have had this year have gone over the number. Dak's angry, narrative-based. Daniel Jones, Malik are forming chemistry. Dallas's defense gives up nearly 30 points a game. Alpha said it best. They can't stop a nosebleed. They're just terrible this year. The Giants unit themselves give up 22 points a game. I'm absolutely loving everything here. It's pointing toward the over here, in my opinion, and I'm going to take it over 45.5. I'd play that up to 46. And Alpha, you're in New York. You are steps away from the stadium. You're saying, is the weather going to affect the game at all tonight, though?
So, full transparency, I'm a half mile from the Giant Stadium where I live. So, what the exact weather I have is exactly the weather we're going to have at the game. Right now, raining, dark, not that windy, but reading all the weather reports, it does look like it should clear up a little bit later. But there's some conflicting reports because we have that huge storm coming down in. So, that's why the total, I think, is a little bit lower at 45.5. But for the Giants' case, like I said earlier, they should be able to run the ball all game long. Once they establish that running game, that should open up the play action. So I'm not too concerned with the weather affecting this one too much. Even if we do get some rain in this game, it shouldn't be too windy, and these teams should still be able to move the ball.
Something to monitor. We've got Weatherman Alpha Dog bets on the case. Don't you worry about it. Our next primetime game, we got the Bills. We've got the Ravens. 77% of bets are on the Bills at plus 2.5. 60% are on the over 46. Alpha, I'll turn it back to you. Who you liking here, brother?
Bills money line, guys. I'm not even taking the points. This Bills team is scary. They've been scary, and I know it's a little bit of a fishy line. They're getting points here, all that kind of stuff. But watching that Bills-Jaguars game, watching that Bills-Dolphins game, watching that Bills-Cardinals game, this team is resilient. Even when they're down, they find a way back in, and they still have that guy, Josh Allen, who's an absolute monster. I mean, how would you like to be Stephon Diggs right now? Watching your old team absolutely thrive, and you've gone over to the Texans, and they don't look like the Texans of last year. So Bills fans have to be excited with that trade, and also the Bills fans have to be excited with the outlook for this season. They're currently 3-0, the only undefeated team in the AFC East. Their only threat will be the Jets, but at the end of the day, I still think they're such a better team than the Jets. Buffalo has scored 112 points this year to only 48 given up. They've done an absolutely fantastic job. Baltimore has scored 71 points, but they've allowed 78. So I know that the Ravens are home. I know that a lot of people are going to be taking them, but I do think the Bills are the right play here, and I think they win this one outright. Give me them on the money line. Currently, it's at a plus 120.
Matt, how about you, bud?
Yeah, I'm with you on Alpha on this one. I wish, if this game was played in week 1, we'd probably be getting 4. Given the situation, but so we're getting a little bit of a depressed number, but rightfully so. I mean, Baltimore darn near blew that game to Dallas. I mean, if Dallas makes 1 2-point conversion, it could be a whole totally different story. The Ravens can't stop anybody with the lead in the fourth quarter. We saw it with the Raiders. We saw it this week. They let Kansas City win that game in week 1 when they had no business winning that game in week 1. But the thing here, guys, is Baltimore's pass defense is atrocious. And when I say atrocious, dead last atrocious. Okay, the rush defense is number 1 in the NFL with a bullet, but they can't stop the pass, which I don't understand. Josh Allen's low passing yards prop here. You read my article on Sunday. You'll learn more about how baffling that one is. But Alpha brought up the Giants points against. I'm going to narrow it down a little bit more. With 20 seconds left in the first half against Arizona in week 1, Buffalo trailed 17-3. So in 10 quarters and 20 seconds since that time, Buffalo 109 points, opponents 31, dominating. Okay, so the big question is, can Buffalo's rush D hold up against Baltimore's rush offense? Because Baltimore can run the ball. We know this. They gave up 96 yards to A-Chain on Thursday night a couple weeks ago, 117 to Murray and Connor in the first week on just 21 carries, 68 to AT on 11 carries last week. So that's concern. But Buffalo's rolling right now. Josh Allen has not thrown an interception yet. He's got 7 touchdowns, no picks. He's up at the top of the heap in the MVP odds race right now, and I don't see how you fade Buffalo right now. Alpha alluded to possibly a trap. I mean, maybe that's what this is. Maybe that's what this line is. But I'm not betting on this Ravens and this Ravens pass defense right now. Not against a guy as hot as Josh Allen.
I agree. I mean, I tend to agree. I mean, last week I think we were all on the Bills, and I'm on the same with you guys. I mean, Bills Mafia needs to stand up. A week ago, I believe all of us were on the Bills. Matt and I had Bills -5. Alpha cleaned up with his Chiefs Bills parlay. Bills bettors have seen an easy and sweat-free return this year, other than, like you said, Matt, at the beginning, week 1 against Arizona. They've covered big over the last 2 weeks, and I see no reason not to back them in this spot. Josh Allen has snuck his way into not only the MVP discussions, but also even the Offensive Player of the Year chat, and he's a quarterback. He's put to rest any kind of criticism this offense has faced over losing their star wideout and not replacing him.
Yep.
Cook is a real running back 1. Shakir has potential to be a wide receiver 1. This team is rolling to the tune of a plus 64-point differential. I mean, Matt, you said it, man. This Buffalo team is just rolling. Historically, Buffalo has played this Ravens team twice in the last 3 years as well, and they've won both games by 17 points. Josh Allen and the Bills also love prime time. If you haven't caught on yet this year, they're 2-0 this season with a plus 58-point differential and under the lights. And the Ravens just haven't looked like themselves, man. They lost to the Raiders in week 2 before almost letting their week 3 matchup against Dallas slip through their fingertips. I love the value here. I'm rocking with Alpha. I'm going with Bills money line, and I think these Bills numbers are just too much and too loud to ignore. So I'm going Bills money line at plus 120. Let's rock it, man. Next, we've got the Dolphins, Titans, and I have just so much to say about how terrible this team is, man. Let me clear this. Let me take this one first, guys. I have something to say about the Dolphins. I mean, Mike McDaniel, since he's come here, he's looked in over his head this year. His play calling for the Dolphins has been questionable at best. He's calling pitch plays with 30 seconds left on the clock going into half instead of trying to work the ball down the field and at least kick a damn field goal. Before coming into Miami, he was touted as this offensive guru, but without Tua, I mean, he has been absolutely lost. And on top of that, the offensive line is an absolute problem, and it stems from the front office. It's not just the head coach who should be under fire here. I mean, Chris Greer sat in a press conference, told us fans not to worry about the offensive line. He laughed. He sat there. He laughed in our faces about even the possibility of being worried about this offensive line. But when your quarterbacks can't even make it through a damn game, it's about time to get worried. Miami's QBs are getting sacked close to 4 times, close to 5 times a game. That's a game, man. It's embarrassing. Your wide receiver 3, Braxton Berrios, he doesn't have a catch all season long. When Tyreek and Waddle rotate off, you might as well just throw me out there running routes. Matt, get in there. Come off the sideline. Let's get Matt in there, man. There's no reason for that to be the case for your wide receiver 3. This defense is about the only unit that I'm happy with, and they're still giving up 24 points a game. I've had people DM me. I've had people come up to me, my friends. They were like, hey, I'm sorry, man. I'm like, what are you sorry about, man? It's 25 years of loving this shit team. Like, what's one more year? It's truly embarrassing as a fan, and I speak this for all Dolphins fans, to watch this team in prime time once again and get their asses kicked. It's been an absolute joke. I'm not laying my cash on this team once more until they show me they're an actual professional football team. Because we all joke about the Panthers needing relegation. It's the Dolphins that might need relegation. The false starts, Alpha, the false starts, the delay of games, the timeouts. It's pathetic.
It's
like
tough.
I said, man, it's this team that needs to be relegated. Now, is Snoop Huntley the savior? I don't think so, but can he be any worse than Skylar Thompson, who the front office, for some reason, deemed capable of leading this offense behind the most injury-prone quarterback in the NFL? What did Skylar Thompson do last week? Before being injured by this terrible offensive line who couldn't block anybody, he threw for 100 yards, 107 yards. Man, couldn't even throw a Hail Mary pass. He needed like 5 minutes to walk up to the line to throw a Hail Mary pass before eventually getting sacked. You know, as a Dolphins fan, I'm not sure if you can see it, but I'm close to walking deep into the ocean. One thing's for certain, though, it can't be much worse after the beatdown this absolute atrocity of a team took in Seattle. For what it's worth, I'm taking the over here, man. These two defensive units, I'm talking now Titans, Dolphins football, are averaging 50 points against per game collectively. They're giving us a 14-point cushion here with the number this low. It's way too low for me. Give me the over 36. I'm done talking about this team. Alpha, take over. Somebody take over. Alpha,
I'm here, boys. Welcome to the toilet bowl of the week. We have the absolute worst game we're going to see of the week between the Titans and the Dolphins. Which team is going to screw it up more? Or which team is not going to score at all? And that leads me to my point. I think we're going to see an extreme under here. I do not see this game getting into the 30s. Who's going to put up points on this game? Is Will Levis going to start slinging it all over the field? I don't believe that. Are they going to start running it with Tony Pollard? Maybe. That'll kill a lot of clock and help the under on the other side. What are the Dolphins doing on play calling? It's not Tua back there. How many times are you going to drop Thompson back there and pretend like he's Tua? Run the ball. You have Devon Achane. He's been an absolute animal, and they just didn't use him in the game. I know Matt last week had a prop that was something on under Achane. I'm sure that hit because he did absolutely nothing. They just didn't give him the ball. So I do think this is going to be a little bit of a different game script from Miami. They cannot go into this game dropping back and throwing it 90 times like they did last week. Give me the under. Both teams are going to run the ball heavily, and I don't think this gets in the 30s. It may not get over 25.
Matt.
I'm right there with you, Alpha. Sorry, Dustin. I love the under this game.
It's fine. It's fine. Oh, my God. I can't stand watching this football team. I don't even want to watch the Monday night.
Look, Miami since week 17 of last year, plug your ears, Dustin, just in case you don't remember, 1-5 straight up, 0-6 against the spread. But look at the offense. 22, 19, 14, 7, 20, 10, and 3 points. Tua started 5 of those games. Last week was the only one they didn't start. They scored the 3, okay? Tennessee's defense actually played pretty well this year. Look what they did to Aaron Rodgers. He went 18 for 30 for 176 yards in Tennessee. You know, they gave up 148 yards to Chicago, 265 to the Jets. They did get let up by Malik Willis stunningly and the Packers last week, so that's a bit of a concern. Last year, again, plug your ears, Dustin, the Titans were the biggest upset of the year in the NFL at Miami. 13.5-point underdog. They won 28-27, but Tua was there for that game and played decently.
And Miami was up by like 14 at least in that game. It was, I remember. It was fun.
Yeah, and then the only last thing I want to bring up, guys, is, again, I'm just going to keep bringing it up every week because it's an amazing freaking stat, and that is this game, as of now, is the lowest total on the board. Cleveland, Las Vegas is at 37, so we could see a flip, okay? But keep your eye on this. The lowest total of the week is 3-0 under this year. 19 4-1 under since the start of last year. These totals, when I say low total of the week, they're almost always in the 30s. And 19 4-1 to the under. They can't set these lines low enough. The odds makers can't. That's a huge sample size and a huge number. throw in the 2 quarterbacks in this game and a good Titans defense, a Miami defense that should be able to do better against Levis than they did last year. I like under 36.5.
I love it. I love it. So we got an over. I mean, I kind of blacked out that entire rant, and we got 2 wonders. I'd probably take the under. Don't take the guy that blacked out when he was telling you to take the over. Let's head on over to the other Monday night game. We got the Hawks. We got the Lions. This is a close 50-50 game in terms of bets, man. 51% of bets are on the Seahawks at +4. 66 are on the under at 46.5. Detroit is one of Matt's picks in his Super Bowl article. If you haven't seen it, man, nobody takes a deeper dive into the Super Bowl odds market than this man right here, Matt Jacob. Make sure you head on over to Oddspedia Insights. Take a look. You might just win some money on your Super Bowl futures bets. Matt, I'll let you take this one away. Hawks, Lions. Who do you got?
Yeah, just don't send me your bill if it loses, guys. I don't need that. So,
I will.
All right, so here's a tale of 2 teams as far as I see it. Seattle's got the number 2 total defense, number 1 passing defense, number 4 scoring defense. Detroit's number 10 in total defense, number 4 in rush defense, but number 19 in pass defense, right? Well, wait a second. The Seahawks have faced Bo Nix, Jacoby Brissett, and Skylar Thompson, and Tanner, what is Tyler Boyle, on whatever his first name is. And the Lions, on the other hand, have faced Matthew Stafford, Baker Mayfield, and Kyler Murray. There's a big difference. And Detroit's defense is still 10th in total defense. And that's to my point here. They've given up 20, 20, and 13 points this season. They've turned it around a little bit. I still need to see a little bit more to be completely confident in it. The offense, by the way, is yet to score more than 20 points in regulation. That's going to get going. There's no way this Lions offense doesn't explode at some point. I think this is going to be the week. Detroit would be 3-0 right now if they didn't go 1 for 7 in the red zone against Tampa Bay. They outgained them 463 to 216. Should have won that game. This is a multiple revenge spot for Detroit. Seattle's won twice in back-to-back years in Detroit, 48-45 2 years ago, 37-31 in overtime last year. They also won the 2021 season finale at home against Detroit, 51-29, obviously a different Lions team. Seattle's won 6 straight in this rivalry. Geno Smith's played out of his mind in 2 games. But I just think Detroit, this is the game. This line doesn't make sense to me, so it scares me a little bit. The Seahawks deserve credit for what they've done, but they have not beaten anybody. They have not played anybody. They're going to play somebody this week, and they're going to play somebody in their house on a Monday night. It's going to be rabid. I like the Lions, who, by the way, guys, 25-8 against the spread since week 9 of the 2022 season.
I'm going another way, but Alpha, I'll hand it over to you. But before I do, a quick shout out to 550 of you in here. Hey, if you guys have any questions, we are happy to answer them. We've got our props coming up. We've got our fantasy stardom sit-em. So along the entire show, hey, hop in that chat. Let us know who you think we should start. Let us know who we think you should sit. We've got your back, man. We've got our best bets. We've got props coming up. I appreciate you guys hanging out. Alpha, who do you like in this Hawks-Lions game?
Give me the over. I am all over the over in this ball game. Matt, you put it so perfectly. You stole every single thing I wanted to say about this game. You take a look at who the Seahawks have played and how they've won. Congratulations. You beat up on a pretty depleted and, I'm sorry, Dustin, a pretty terrible Miami team at the moment, 24-3. Week before, you won in overtime over the Patriots. It's the Patriots. They're supposed to be terrible. You should win that game by 100. And then week 1, it was Bo Nix's first start for Denver, and Bo Nix and Denver scored 20 points against them. So they have not impressed me at all with their wins. The Lions, you said it perfectly as well, Matt. They need to get this offense going. You think this is the game they get it going, as do I. Home, indoors, big game, and this is the type of game I think we're finally going to see Jared Goff come out and have a big-time performance. Give me the over. One of my favorite picks this week. I think this game will see over 50 points rather easily.
Yeah, I love the over in this game too. I'm going to head over for versatility reasons. I'm going on the Hawks here for a couple of reasons, guys. I mean, Geno Smith, you guys said it. I mean, he has the most completions of any QB in the league after 3 weeks. And if I would have told you that it's Geno Smith after 3 weeks would have the most completions, you'd probably say absolutely no chance that's happening. The offense is kind of clicking, man. DK's looking like DK. Charbonnet is doing a great job of replacing Kenneth Walker right now. The defense has allowed the least amount of passing yards against in the NFL, which is going up against a high-flying team like the Lions. I kind of like those odds. When I see a line like this, for some reason, I would have thought it would be the Lions -7.5, maybe even more. But these lines always make me think it's a little bit of a trap game. So my mind went there instantly. On the other side, we got Detroit's one glaring issue, which is their pass defense. They come into the game ranked 20th in the NFL. I think Geno does just enough to keep this one close, but the more I hear you guys speak, the more I want to go to the Lions. But I'm going to stick with the Hawks here. I love that overplay alpha. I'm leaning that as well. My official play would be Hawks plus 4.5 plus the over. I absolutely love that play. That is it.
Geno Smith, another guy who got the Jets stink off, and look at him now.
He's been unbelievable. I never thought Geno would be this good when he went to Seattle.
I'm telling you, it's the Jets.
Never.
If you're a Jets fan and you're not on a liver transplant wait list, it's a miracle.
Yeah. I mean, what else do you have to see? I mean, Sam Darnold leaves the Jets. Incredible. Geno Smith leads the Jets. One of the better quarterbacks in the league. Like, what else do you need to see?
Chad Pennington went to your Dolphins 800 years ago, was way better.
Dude, don't even get me started on Chad Pennington's my favorite quarterback for the Dolphins ever since I was a kid. I've been a fan of this team for 25 years. Chad Pennington was the first time I've seen the Dolphins go to the playoffs. He had the best completion percentage of the entire NFL. That's how you know the quarterback situation has been terrible as a Dolphins fan, when you look back and say, yes, Chad Pennington is my favorite quarterback of all time when it comes to Miami. I wasn't old enough to see Marino play. I was like 4 or 5, so I can't say Marino, but Chad Pennington, he's my Marino. Chad Pennington is my Marino. How terrible is that? Let's head on over to the Oddspedia games of the week, guys. Speaking of Sam Darnold, speaking of getting that Jet stink off, we're going to head over to the Vikings at Green Bay. We've got 80% of bets are on the Vikings plus 2.5. 64% are on the over at 43.5. Are we surprised about the Vikings getting this much love right now? I'm not. Alpha, take it away, pal.
I'm more surprised at how good this Vikings team defensively is. I mean, I knew Sam Darnold had a chance to be decent. They had great weapons they gave him, like Justin Jefferson. They could run the ball. They have a very strong offensive line. This defense has done a fantastic job this season. That's the biggest surprise to me. And every week I've come on this show and I've told you guys I don't believe in the Vikings. I don't think they can keep this going. I am here to officially put my hand up and say I was wrong. I take back what I said, and I am now kind of a believer of the Vikings. And I'll tell you what, I'm a bigger believer of the Vikings than I am of the Green Bay Packers. I think the Vikings are going to play a big, strong game here. I think Sam Darnold is going to be able to throw the ball all over the field. And look at Justin Jefferson this year, guys. He's fully back. He's fully loving playing with Sam Darnold. He has 14 receptions, 275 yards, and 3 touchdowns. So I think this Vikings team will be able to go into Green Bay and get a result. If they do lose, I could see this game being on a last-second field goal where Green Bay does win by 1 or 2. But you take a look again at how these teams have done this year. Minnesota has put up 85 points, and they've only allowed 30. Only allowing 30 points through 3 games is absolutely insane. On Green Bay's side, they've scored 75, but they've allowed double the points as Minnesota. They're at 58, so just under double. I think we're going to see the trends continue. I think we're going to see Sam Darnold continue to piece guys up. And has any game really even been a game for this Vikings team? I know the San Francisco came back late against them, but a 34-7 win against Houston was beyond impressive. 23-17 win over San Fran was beyond impressive. And the only win they have that was not beyond impressive, they beat up on my lonely Giants 28-6, but the defense in that game was unbelievable. Give me the Vikings plus 2.5. I think they have a big week.
Yeah, and it goes without saying now, I think Sam Darnold is matchup proof fantasy-wise. I'm starting him. I spent 11 fab on him. I'm putting him right in my lineup. I don't have to see anything else from Sam Darnold for me to just be like, no, maybe I need one more week on my bench. I'm starting him. The guy's insane. He went off for 3 or 4 touchdowns last week. I'm expecting it again this week. It doesn't even matter who he plays. Matt, who do you like in this matchup?
Yeah, this is a tough one on the side for me. So I'm going strictly the total. To the point of the side. I don't know if Jordan Love's going to play. I think he's going to. It seems like he's leaning that way. But if he does play, how much are they going to protect him, from himself? Do you
think that's a mistake, Matt?
What's that?
Do you think that's a mistake, playing Jordan Love in this game, bringing him back so soon? Do you think they should let him get healthy?
When they won 2 games, I think the only reason they're thinking about it is it's a division home game, and you want to win a division home game. But they won 2 games, or at least one of those 2 games they probably shouldn't have won based on Malik Willis and the whole Jordan Love just being down from the fact he wasn't there. But yeah, so I mean, and these teams have split the last 8 meetings straight up against the spread. In fact, speaking of the spread, this is the 8th time in the last 11 meetings, and the 5th time in a row the spread's been 3 points or less. It's just a toss-up game to me. I like Alpha's argument. I think the Vikings are a solid play here, but I like the under. And I know the Packers haven't played anybody the last 2 weeks. Anthony Richardson and Will Levis. Okay, and they gave up 31 points in the second and the third quarter against Philadelphia. But otherwise, they've given up 0-3, 0-0, 3-7, 7-0, 7-0. 27 points in all. So they get up 4 fewer points in the last, 6 quarters than they did in the first 2. So or not 6. Actually, it would be, I don't know. I can't do the math. Whatever. Minnesota's allowing 10 points per game.
Nobody's good at math on this show.
Yeah, exactly. Don't do math in your head. It's not going to work for you. And then Minnesota's tied with Pittsburgh for the second best rush defense as well, at 71.3 rushing yards per game. So that also leads me to believe if they start Jordan Love, the running game, Josh Jacobs and company aren't going to be able to do much damage. So I like the under in this game. I just think 43.5 is just a tad too many points. This thing should end somewhere in the high 30s.
Yeah, don't you think Malik Willis should play? Like, don't you think he's done well enough, winning both games, being impressive, to at least play until you get your franchise quarterback fully healthy? I think it's a huge mistake playing him.
Yeah,
he's got to be at least 90%, or I wouldn't play him. I just wouldn't.
Yeah, this is a knee too. Knee injuries are absolutely nothing to play with, man. You get rolled up on once, Jordan Love is out for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
It's just if he plays, it might just be a week or two, even too early. I mean, the Packers are 2-1 right now. Malik Willis has looked great. What is the point of rushing your franchise quarterback back with a knee if Malik Willis is playing out of his mind right now? Like, there's absolutely no reason for Love to play in this one. But if you're coming back to bets, Alpha, you said everything I wanted to say, man. Vikings plus 2.5. I'm sprinkling on the money line as well at plus 120. We've got the best story in the NFL right now in Sam Darnold. We've been talking about him all show. This mini offense, the third best scoring offense in football right now. They're putting up 28 points per game. It's just insane on the back of their newfound aerial attack. I mean, Justin Jefferson has not skipped a beat going from McCarthy to, I don't even think he even caught a pass from McCarthy in the preseason, but from McCarthy to Sam Darnold, everyone, like I said, everyone wrote Minnesota off. It's not the damn case. And Green Bay just so happens to get gashed through the air, man. They come in ranked 22nd in the NFL in passing defense. Like I said, I'm taking Vikings plus 2.5, sprinkling on the money line at plus 120. I love that bet. I love this Vikings team, man. They are a ton of fun to watch, and I'm going to be watching every single one of their games as much as I can, man. They are a lot of fun. And also Aaron Jones, we didn't even talk about him returning to Green Bay. I do have a prop on him, anytime touchdown, but we'll get into that after Oddspedia's games of the week. I love Aaron Jones in this game as well. Guys, let's move on over to the Saints Falcons. This is actually a pretty interesting game. Is Derek Carr again after last week? This is the biggest lopsided bet in the entire week. 93% of bets are on the Saints plus 2.5. Biggest discrepancy on the board. 61% are on the over at 42.5. Matt, where are you going with this one?
Yeah, this is a game where I just I think, again, I talked about this earlier in terms of matchups like the Seahawks and the Lions and who they played and who they haven't played. Atlanta's faced 3 teams in Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, and Kansas City. They're 8-1 combined. And Atlanta's responsible for delivering that one loss at Philadelphia on Monday night a couple weeks ago. And, of course, they should have beaten Kansas City. That non-pass interference call, what a joke the NFL is. You call the one that, okay, maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was 65% it was a pass interference. That was a 99% pass interference the other night. Yeah. And it's just, if Patrick Mahomes throws that ball, he gets that call. The NFL, they're inviting. I hate conspiracy theorists. I hate them. It's ridiculous. There isn't shady stuff going on in the NFL. But when you see this and you have that mindset of a conspiracy, of course you're going to go there. I point to that as Exhibit A. The NFL's fixed when stuff like that happens. It's absurd. Anyway, New Orleans, again, they played Carolina, Dallas, and Philadelphia as well, right? So Philadelphia at home, they lose. Atlanta goes to Philadelphia and wins a game that they kind of were given. I'll give you that much with the Eagles. So, again, the Saints, I'm not impressed with Derek Carr. I think we saw the real Derek Carr last week. Both teams have only allowed 4 touchdowns all season, so the under looks a little bit live here as well. Atlanta's really struggled on third downs. That's a bit of a concern, but again, unless Kamara gets really rolling here to give Carr some easy throws, I don't think it's going to be much of a game. I think this Falcons team should be favored by closer to 5, to be honest with you.
Really? I agree on that one. Alpha, I think you're going the other way on this one.
Hold on, my TV decided to enter the conversation. Let me get it out of here. I am going the other way, though. The ghost has been getting crazy. Full transparency. I live in an apartment building, and somebody around me thinks my TV is there. So when they try to Bluetooth to it, it just turns mine on. Most frustrating thing in the world. But anyway, back to the show. This game's an interesting one for me. It's not my favorite one on the board, but Matt, I do have to give you credit. Last week on the show, you came in here talking about this Saints team, and you said Derek Carr has showed us what he has been for the last, 10 to 12 years? And we saw what he's been. The first 2 games of the year are not going to make me think he's the next Aaron Rodgers. Derek Carr is Derek Carr. We know what he's going to be. If he gets time and isn't blitzed, he's a very strong quarterback. But under duress and when he's under pressure, he makes some of the dumbest plays you can make in the NFL. Now down to this game, I do think the Saints are the much better overall team. I said last week I came on here saying the Eagles are a big play of mine, which they were. I was not a big believer in the Saints, which I'm still not. But in this game, I'm even not bigger believer in the Atlanta Falcons. I do not believe in this offense. I do not think they're going to be a great team this year. Like I said, this is not my favorite play on the board. This may not even be an official play when I do my full official card on Sunday. But for this specific game, for right now, I do have a lean on the Saints to win this one outright. Like I said, not my favorite play, but I do think that they are the much better team. I know they're on the road, but the Falcons don't scare me. I do believe they got lucky in which game was it that I feel that they got lucky?
Eagles.
Eagles game, thank you.
Yeah.
I felt like they got lucky there. They were handed the game by the Eagles coaching staff, and I don't think that this Saints coaching staff would do something like that. I think they're a better coach team, and I think the Saints will get it done, money line, but not an official play yet.
Yeah.
My least favorite of the games this week.
Yeah, we came on the show, and I think we talked about Vic Fangio just basically handing the Falcons that game. But in saying that, I still think the Falcons and Kirk Cousins is beginning to be the better version of himself, the better version of Kirk Cousins, whereas Derek Carr is looking like Derek Carr again. I mean, you said it. Once you get pressure on him, this is a whole different offense, man. If he's not going, this offense is not going, obviously.
Yeah.
I think this is one of the toughest games on the board to cap. Myself, I think the line's kind of fishy here. Like I said, Atlanta's trending in the right direction after week 1. They beat the Eagles. They had to do what they had to do at the final minute on that drive. They took the Chiefs down to the wire. The Saints looked terrible last week against the Eagles. They just couldn't do anything. And this was an Eagles defense that pretty much every team that they faced was having their way with, you know? Like I said, this is a tough game. This is a very tough game to cap. But I think what leans me to Atlanta is their stingy defense and being able to bottle up Carr. We all know that the love for the second straight week, and they cover the small spread. I kind of love the small spread here. I think the Atlanta defense does what it can do to bottle up Carr, stack the box against Kamara, make Carr beat you. And if Carr is going to be Carr again, then I think the Falcons take this on this small spread, man. -2.5. And also, when 93% of bets are on one side, you got to think against the grain. You got to think that something is going on here. The public loves the Saints way too much. I'm going Falcons, guys. Are you guys
Public's
ready?
getting killed. Public's not enjoying this season. I will tell you that.
That's true.
They are not enjoying it.
The books are I think FanDuel just announced their earnings, and then there was also numbers around the first 3 weeks, and oh my god, the sports books are absolutely killing it.
I don't think the Sharps are doing very well either, guys. Just look at the survivor pool, the big money survivor pool contest. They're all getting blown out, and it's just
honestly, I think
week one exit. One exit.
Hey, I was down week 1. I think I had the Bengals over the Pats, and I'm like, oh, this was fun. I just did that Simpsons meme where he walks into the bar and then just walks right back. I'm like, that was a ton of fun for me. I'm absolutely loving this. But yes, guys, that's probably the hardest game on the slate to cap, the Saints Falcons. I probably won't even, throw a bet down, but I think it's a game that's got a lot of interest, and it's something that we had to talk about.
Random NFL signing that just happened. Allen Robinson, former pretty decent receiver, has now been signed and activated to the Lions 53-man roster. That could be a nice boost for the Lions offense. I know we spoke about it earlier. I watched him a ton in preseason. I went to a lot of the Giants training camps. He was with the Giants this offseason. He was looking pretty good. So I think that might be a nice addition to this Lions team and help our over this weekend. He will be playing, they're saying.
He's going to play. They're just signing him off the street and throwing him in.
He was on the practice squad. They picked him up, but they have activated him, and it's his first NFL game in quite some time. So good for him. That's a good story for Allen Robinson.
Yeah, exactly. Allen Robinson was once one of the better wide receivers in this game, man. It's nice to see him on an offensively potent team like the Lions as well. We'll see what happens there. But let's head on over, guys. Props of the week. We have our primetime picks. We had Oddspedia's game of the week. Let's move over to our props of the week. If anybody loves their prop, man, be sure to throw it in the chat. Let's talk about it. One of my favorite segments here, man. We go round table. We fire off 3 props each on the Sunday slate, one at a time. Like I said, man, if you're in chat and you have a prop you absolutely love, send it to us. We'd love to talk about it. But while we wait, guys, I'll fire off my best prop of the week. And this is a huge shout out to Mitch Bannon, another guy who does incredible work over at Oddspedia Insights. This is him. I'm tailing him. Justice Hill over 12.5 receiving yards at -110. He is averaging close to 28 yards receiving per week and is the primary pass catching back for the Ravens. I mean, to me, it's just silly that this line is so low. It's kind of like, please just make money, sports bettors. We want you to make money. So this is me telling you guys, this is a great opportunity to make some cash. Hopefully, right now he's averaging about 5 targets per game. Give him a chance to go over this number on one play this week. Justice Hill over 12.5 receiving yards. You can get that at -110 at FanDuel. Alpha.
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Got to be honest, I'm going to be tailing that one. I did not look into that for that game. That's one I really like when you went over. So I'll be stealing that one from you and playing it personally. Guys, my favorite prop this week is Jauan Jennings anytime touchdown. Woo! If you watched the 49ers game last week, then you know all about Jennings. He had 12 targets. He caught 11 of them. He had 175 yards. He was the leading receiver of any receiver in football last week. Oh, and by the way, he also had 3 touchdowns. The guy was absolutely fantastic. Brock Purdy was going to him at every chance he gets. And in the game this weekend, I think we're going to see a very similar style offense from the 49ers. They should be able to put up points in this game. And I definitely think if they throw for a couple touchdowns, at least one is going to go to Jennings. He had a monster week. They're going to look to continue riding Jennings. Give me his anytime touchdown at +200.
Man, there is so much content around fantasy and Jauan Jennings. Like, oh, I'm up 40 points. All he's got is Jauan Jennings. So I might as well not even watch the game. It's an easy W. And then all you see is Jauan Jennings, 1, 2, 3. I'm like, man, who? And then one of my best friends had Jauan Jennings on his bench, lost because of it. It's just the content that you can make from these guys just coming up and absolutely owning the spot is just incredible. Matt, who's your prop of the week, pal?
Yeah, you may just give me one of my touchdown props after right for this week there, Alpha, so I appreciate that.
Let's go.
I'm going with a guy that everybody hates. Everybody in fantasy hates. As you guys know, I mentioned last week I retired from fantasy a few years ago, and that's Kyle Pitts, over 33.5 receiving yards. I know, sounds crazy, right? Well, here's what else sounds crazy. 2 weeks ago, the Cowboys, Jalen Tolbert and Luke Schoonmaker, those all-pro tight ends, 12 catches, 125 yards against the Saints. Last week, Dallas Goedert, 10 catches, 170 yards. For some reason, the Saints can't cover tight ends. Right. And Pitts hasn't put up big numbers because he hasn't gotten the ball much. He's got 105 yards, but he's only caught the ball 8 times. So I think that it should be a lower scoring game. I think that if I'm aware of what's going on with the Saints tight ends, difficulty covering tight ends, I would hope the Falcons coaching staff does get Pitts involved more. And 33.5 receiving yards with this guy and his speed, he can get it with 2 catches. It shouldn't be too difficult. So, yes, I know Kyle Pitts is just a renowned bust in the fantasy world, but I think this week he can at least get you 34 receiving yards.
Usually I would say if you're throwing money on Kyle Pitts, you got like the biggest balls I've ever seen, but that actually makes a lot of sense, Matt. Good find. For me, I mean, I had Kyle Pitts last year in fantasy, just an atrocious draft pick. I'll never go that way again. But hey, if the Saints have trouble covering tight ends, man, let the big athletic freak Kyle Pitts help you out in your bankroll. I'm going Aaron Jones. Like I said, anytime touchdowns. I mean, he's back in his old stomping grounds this week against the Green Bay Packers. You love that narrative. He's already said it's weird being back here after playing his first 7 seasons with the Pack. He's been ramping up this year. He scored his first touchdown last week against the Giants. Look for Minnesota to work their way down the field. Give Aaron Jones plenty of opportunity in the red zone to cash this one against his former team. He's got a season-high 19 carries this season. I'm looking for him to break 20. This is a pure volume play, and any player that's stuck with a team for so long, gets traded, plays that team, they want to feed him in the red zone. They want him to get that score going against going against Green Bay. I'm taking Aaron Jones anytime touchdown. At +115, you can get that at FanDuel. Alpha, second best player prop.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm also taking Aaron Jones anytime touchdown +115. How does this keep happening? Every week Matt had it. I was right after him with James Conner. We both cashed it, though. We did both cash it. Now this week, right before I'm giving out that one, you give the same exact one out. But hey, maybe that's a good omen.
Before the show, just letting everybody know.
Absolutely.
About this. It's just it's so serendipitous of us. Look at us.
Yeah, I like that when we find this same angle. Who would have thought we would have found it? But no, I really do like this play a lot. One thing I did bring up the Jauan Jennings prop in my first one. I did want to go over one thing I did want to bring up. So a good friend of mine, shout out Jacob. Jacob put $15.39 on Jauan Jennings to have the most receiving yards on Sunday of last week. That was at a +7,500. Jacob won $1,300 off at $15 bet on Jauan Jennings to lead the league in receiving yards on Sunday. So I had to throw that out there. Jennings had that big of a game. But yes, the second prop.
What made him want to put money on Joe? I mean, it's obviously only $15 or whatever it was, but he's just like, I have a.
Everybody was hurt. Everybody was hurt for them. Kittle got ruled out. No CMC. They had a really depleted offensive team. And he said, the guy who's going to reap the benefits, it's going to be Jauan Jennings. So good for him. I will have to see what he's on this week. He's not a Twitter capper. He's just a personal friend of mine, but I do have to see what he's on. It was a very great week. But yeah, for the second bet, I absolutely love Aaron Jones. There's nothing more for me to say because Dustin, you stole it all from me right before I went. So let's get that Aaron Jones touchdown.
Matt, second best prop of the week in your eyes, pal.
Well, this should come as no surprise. It's Kyler Murray over 1.5 touchdown passes. So, it's not about Kyler Murray. It's about who Kyler Murray's facing, and that's the Washington Commanders. Here we go again. 3 TDs. Murray had 3 TDs against the Rams' crappy secondary in week 2, but he's only had 1 in the other 2 games. But, again, Washington league high 9 touchdown passes this year. Baker Mayfield threw 4 in week 1. Danny Dimes 2 in week 2. Burrow 3 on Monday night. Since the start of the 2023 season, 14 quarterbacks now we're up to have thrown multiple TDs. And 2 of those guys, Dak Prescott, Jalen Hurts did it twice. So it's really happened 16 times since the start of the 2023 season. Give me over 1.5 touchdown. It's like an automatic bet. You don't believe in Kyler Murray. It's that you just don't believe in the Washington secondary.
Yeah, I think Kyler Murray's has he gone over 1.5 passing touchdowns? No, not every.
Just against the Rams. He didn't against Buffalo, and he did not against last week against Detroit.
Got you. Okay, I'm heading over to Houston, and this is just like a huge revenge game for me. I'm going CJ Stroud over 270.5 passing yards at -110. You can get it at -110, -108, depending on where you play. Just basically show me how you bounce back, CJ Stroud. After his worst performance of his career against Minnesota, I like this play against Jacksonville as a prime bounce back spot for Stroud. The Jags just got absolutely torched by Allen. We all watched it. And now they get an angry Texans offense that was absolutely stymied all week last week against Minnesota. Give me Stroud over 270.5 passing yards. Give me that Texans offense to start cooking up against that Jacksonville defense. I absolutely love this play. It's not my best prop of the week. My best prop of the week will be Justice Hill over 12.5 receiving yards. Shout out Mitch, but I do love CJ Stroud a lot. Alpha, over to you.
Guys, there's a big game this weekend between the New York Jets and the Denver Broncos. I don't know if you remember the story last year when Sean Payton came out and said Nathaniel Hackett is the worst offensive coordinator in history. He just went randomly to the media and absolutely destroyed Nathaniel Hackett and the Jets for no reason. Just took random shots at them. Aaron Rodgers is Nathaniel Hackett's guy. Rodgers loves to back Nathaniel Hackett. The reason Nathaniel Hackett is the offensive coordinator for the Jets is because of Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers personally wanted him to be there. So in this game, I think Aaron Rodgers is going to have Hackett's back. We all saw last week, Rodgers found Garrett Wilson. It was the first time he threw a touchdown pass to a first-round pick in his career. We're going to see a second touchdown pass to a first-round pick in his career this weekend. Garrett Wilson coming in at +150, I think, is going to have a monster performance. The Jets are one of those teams. Aaron Rodgers is one of those guys, and so is Nathaniel Hackett, where then if you're going to talk smack about him in the way that Sean Payton did, I don't think the Jets are going to hold back this week. They could be up, let's say they're up 28-0. I think they're going to still be throwing the ball. I think that's the type of guy Rodgers is. He's going to keep attacking down the field, and he will find Garrett Wilson at least once in the end zone. You get that at +150.
Yeah, and you saw him try and hug his coach, but he said, nope, don't let them score once. That's Aaron Rodgers is a gamer. For as much as Matt hates Aaron Rodgers, the one thing that you could say is that he is an absolute gamer.
He is.
Matt,
he turns up.
He is. He's just a prick. That's all.
Yeah, exactly. I knew Matt was going to love that one.
So my third prop is, but we're going to eat some juice here, guys. A little bit of juice. Caesars had the best price that I saw last night at -137, and that's Anthony Richardson to throw again another interception. He's thrown 6 already this season. He leads, he's thrown at least 1 in each game. Pittsburgh's already got 4 interceptions this season, was tied for the 4th most. They got Cousins and Nicks twice earlier this year. So I just think that it's Richardson. What's his big, what's the one question mark, the huge question mark that everyone had, and why would it be drafted high in the first round? Accuracy, and he's showing it already. Accuracy, yeah, he's made some great deep throws. He's done some things well with his leg, but 6 interceptions in 3 games, that's not good. And against this Pittsburgh defense, I'd be hard-pressed to see, unless they're just going to let him throw 13 times or something, and even if he does, I can still see one of those 13 ending up in the hands of a Steelers defensive back.
I agree.
His picks aren't even like the defense is making a good play. He's just flat out missing these throws that are wide open.
Exactly.
And he's a guy that needs to throw the ball 120 miles an hour every single throw. I'm not entirely sure why that is, but that's just how Anthony Richardson approaches the game. But yeah, he's been wild. He's been wild all season long, Matt. I love that play.
Would you like him as your quarterback, Dustin? As a team that right now has a little quarterback issues, would you like him back to behind center for you?
I'd like me as my quarterback at this point, man. Jesus. Yes, I would like Anthony Richardson over Skylar Thompson. Yes, I would take that.
All right.
But guys, let's head on over to one of my favorite segments. I feel like every segment is my favorite, but I do love fantasy stardom and situm, man. Last week we did pretty damn well, so let's try and recuperate that. I think we did. What was my situm? My situm last week was Jalen Waddle, and he was absolutely terrible. But let's start with the stardoms. All right, I'm gonna go with Bucky Irving over there with Tampa Bay, man. Have you seen that meme with like the Undertaker standing like incredibly close by the other wrestler? I don't know the wrestler, but that's basically Bucky Irving to Rachaad White right now. Get him in your lineups as a flex play because he's coming for that every down back roll in Tampa with the Buccaneers. Todd Bowles has already said he's in line for more work. I mean, he deserves it. He's getting like 6 carries a game, going for like 70 yards. I don't know. He deserves way more work, way more carries than Rachaad White right now over there in Tampa Bay. I saw he got dinged with a little hamstring, but he was limited in practice this week, which bodes well for his Sunday participation. If he's 100% for Sunday, I love Bucky Irving to find the end zone for his first score of the year on a pure volume play. He's going to be handling the rock. I love Bucky Irving. Get him in your damn lineups this week. Alpha, start of the week.
Start of the week. What if I told you it's a very rarely and lowly started wide receiver who is tied for the league lead in touchdowns? We're starting Allen Lazard. I went over a little bit of reasons what I think the Jets offense is going to do. Allen Lazard is going to be in my starting lineup. You take a look at how Allen Lazard has done this year. He's currently only being started in 6% of all leagues on Yahoo. He's only owned in 36% of leagues on Yahoo, and I would definitely recommend picking him up on the year. He has 11 receptions for 150 yards and 3 touchdowns. He has a 27-point fantasy game in a full-point PPR. He also has a 14-point fantasy game in a full-point PPR. He just had that one stinker against Tennessee where he only had 2 catches for 11 yards. But Rodgers, this is his guy. It's been his guy for how long now? He's going to keep throwing Lazard the ball, and I think Lazard at only 6% started in all Yahoo fantasy leagues is a joke, and him being owned in only 36% of all fantasy leagues is a joke. Guys, he's tied for the league lead in touchdowns. Get him on your roster and get him in the game. That's my start of the week.
That's a great play. I absolutely love it. I'm actually going to go and pick him up right now. I think he's available. But Matt, start of the week, pal.
Yeah, this is a running back that, usually he's going to be started most weeks, but maybe this week not because of the opponent, and then you look at the point spread. So I think it's a little bit of a I don't know if you want to call it a surprise start of the week, but to me it is. It's Ramondre Stevenson of the Patriots. He's going up against the 49ers, right? So what's the Patriots' only chance in this game? Shorten the game. How do you do that? You hand the ball to your running back, and Ramondre Stevenson last week was not good against the Jets. 23 yards, 6 carries, got taken out of the game because they got down quickly, right? But first week, 120 yards against the Bengals. Next week against the Seahawks, 81 yards. He had a rushing touchdown in each of those games. In San Francisco last week, they allowed Ty Chandler and Aaron Jones combined 114 yards with just 19 carries. Last week, Kyron Williams ate him up for 89 yards. And then, of course, Javon Hargrave, he's out for the season, so San Francisco loses a big piece in the middle. They're just really banged up both sides of the ball. So I think Stevenson, it might take 25 carries to get there, but he can get 100 yards in this game, and he can get a touchdown too. So I like him as a starter.
That's a great volume play. All right, guys. So we've got Ramondre Stevenson stardom, Bucky Irving stardom, and we've got Allen Lazard. Pick him up and start him because that man is going to catch a touchdown this week. All right, let's head on over to the situms. We actually did pretty damn well. I mean, Justin Jefferson did catch a touchdown, but he didn't do much.
Yeah, I was wrong on that.
He didn't do much last week other than catch that touchdown, though. And then we had me sitting Waddle, which was a great sit. And then we had an incredible sit. We told you to sit Travis Kelce. I mean, he's just been terrible this year. I mean, all tight ends have kind of been terrible, but it's especially true with Travis Kelce. Shout out Alpha for that one. For me, I'm going over to Denver and Cortland Sutton, man. Unfortunately, like I said, the Waddle nightmare came true for us this last week. But you better believe Sutton going one-on-one with Sauce and that Jets defense. They're going to be doing everything to stop the Broncos' lone playmaker at wideout. in my eyes, he's going for 3 catches, 45 yards. He's going to have a line somewhat similar to that. Leave him on your bench this week. I know Courtland Sutton's their number 1, but against that Jets defense, that's just a terrible matchup. I'm sitting Sutton if he's on my team. Alpha, who's your sit of the week?
I can't stand you. I really can't.
You have Courtland Sutton too.
I swear to God, Courtland Sutton is my pick because I'm actually starting Allen Lazard over Courtland Sutton. So that's the exact 2 I was going for, but I could pull someone else because I have another receiver on my team that I'm not very high on. No, Keenan Allen. I also have Keenan Allen, and I've hard sat him this week for Jerry Jeudy. Keenan Allen, I just don't think is going to have as big of a year as I originally anticipated. I thought with Caleb Williams, they got off hot. I thought he'd be his go-to receiver right off the bat. He did get throws early, but Keenan had a ton of drops, and now he's coming off a major injury. Not a major injury, but one that's probably going to be a season-long lingering injury. I'm not going to be taking any action into Keenan Allen. I know he's practicing in limited fashion today, looking to play his first game in 3 weeks, but there's not a chance I'm going to be putting him in this week with guys like Allen Lazard as well as guys like Jerry Jeudy that I will be playing. So that's exactly who we are going to be sitting.
I'm rocking with Jerry Jeudy this week too, man. Let's go. Shout out Alpha. Matt, who's your sit of the week, pal?
Let's just go ahead and end this one with a bang, guys. Tyreek Hill. The Miami Dolphins.
Damn, that's hard. That would hurt.
I should have done that.
Anybody on the Dolphins offense, sit him.
No. Start A-Chain.
Last 2 weeks, 3 catches for 24 yards against Buffalo, 3 for 40 against Seattle. He did have 130 against Jacksonville in week 1, but 80 came on 1 play, and his quarterback was Tua. His quarterback's not going to be Tua this week. And then we already talked about Seattle's number 1 ranked pass defense. Tennessee's number 3 against the pass. They've only given up 139.3 yards per game. They faced crappy quarterbacks, yes, but they're facing another crappy quarterback on Monday night. Sorry, Dustin. That's it for me.
Hey, Snoop Huntley, man. What are you talking about? He's going to be the Miami savior. Snoop Huntley's coming in, running for 100, throwing for 4 touchdowns and 3. No, I'm kidding. He's
back. He's
not doing.
When are you trading for Willis? When are you making the move to go get Malik Willis?
Man, anybody. Malik Willis, Dolphins, trade for Russell Wilson. I don't care. Trade for Matt Stafford. I would absolutely do unspeakable things for Matt Stafford on this team, but that's never going to happen. No. Honestly, just do anything than what we are doing. And the last thing I want to hear is Mike McDaniel walk up to that podium and be like, Skylar Thompson's our quarterback this year, because he probably will. He probably will do that.
Tua will be back.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, it's so torn because I want the Dolphins to do well, but I also want Tua to, be a human being.
Good segue. Do you think he should come back? I have to ask this at least once because my opinion is no. Go retire, dude. You've made so much money. Don't die on the field.
No, my heart says absolutely not. He needs to be there for his family. My head, my love for the game, loves to watch Tua play football. So it's kind of like a torn fence. I'm on the fence on this one. Like, obviously, he's been through 3 or 4 concussions now, right? So let's think. He just signed that massive contract. Let's think about your family. But ultimately, it's up to him, right? Yep, he's the one that said he wants to continue to play football until his son knows what his dad does. So I want to see him back on the field, but do I think it's a good idea? Obviously not. No. Head injuries are no joke. Head injuries are no joke. Just look at Antonio Brown. But that just about wraps us up for week 4, guys. I thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you to my incredible co-host Alpha. Thank you, Matt, for coming in, talking with me, showing us love. Everybody that came in, we have over 1,000 people in here right now. As always, we'll be back for week 5, same time, same place. If you tail us or fade us, just remember that we always love you. As always, get your plays over at Oddspedia Insights. Enter our incredible handicapping contest at Oddspedia. No money is needed for you to beat out the rest of the players on the platform and win some incredible prizes. All right, let's have a damn week and let's make some money. We'll see you next week. Thank y'all.
Let's do it, fellas.
Go Dolphins.